Okay?
Oh, Father, I just pray for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Please relieve me from my woes. Oh, please help me, you're my only way.
Let's go.
Have mercy on my soul.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to dive into a colourful journey through time, exploring how the vibrancy of the past has evolved into more muted tones today. And we'll explore how these changes might be affecting our mental health, or how it's really changed the way that we see and do things, and people's mental health. Like, I've really noticed so much vibrant colours in like the 80s, 90s, and now you're seeing more muted tones. So let's talk about it. Let's rewind to the 80s and 90s, a time known for its vibrant, bold colours. From neon fashion trends, think leggings, think big bold colours and prints, think oversized jackets, to home decor filled with bright, colourful wallpaper and bold prints, and just doing the most, but in a good way. Bold furniture, crazy designs, outlandish designs, but also remembering that there was so much more colour back then. And not just in homes, this is also outside. Colour was used widespread, it was a way of life. The 80s and 90s, it was just nice on the eyes, and I feel like when you look back on these pictures, it kind of just gives you a nice warmth. There's just something or an energy that era creates for me. Fast forward to the present day, and we see a noticeable shift. Modern homes and fashion tends to lean more towards neutral tones. Still like warm colours, but lacking colour, if that makes sense. Like very grey, very dull, greys, blacks, whites, just very undertone neutral colours. Minimalist designs and a very subdued palette, a very subdued colour palette, or lacking bright, fun colours, Those bold and lively colours have given way to very neutral colours, basic greys, whites, and kind of earthy tones. I think to myself, like, what does this actually mean for us? Like, I'm seeing something, and I'm someone that grew up in that era, I grew up in the 90s, I grew up in the 80s, and I see a massive shift. This is just not obviously the only thing that I feel has changed the way that people are, their mental health, their attitudes, their behaviors, that kind of positive spirit. But I do think it is something that plays a part. So, like, what does that mean for us? Because there's actually real research out there that shows that colours influences our mood, our mental health, how we feel. Colours can brighten up your day in an instant. Like, even just, I know it's flowers, right? But even just getting flowers, colours, like working with colours, and even just seeing colours in a home. I feel like it not being in a home. Obviously you have your little elements and things, and people do still paint a bit of colour in their homes, but it's just nothing like the 80s and 90s. Like, people had vibrant colour sofas and all kinds of things like that. Like I said, wallpaper, bold patterns and colours. I know it doesn't fit into today, and we do evolve and things move on and evolves. But bright, vibrant colours, and seeing that day in, day out, wearing that day in, day out, can boost your mood and your energy, and even your creativity, But muted colours, like those kind of neutral colours, can also create a calming atmosphere, but sometimes a less stimulating environment. And I think over time, this can have like a small effect on our mental health. It's just something I've been pondering and thinking about. And I think I've seen a few pictures of comparisons of how homes and how we dressed in the 80s and 90s compared to now. And it leads me to think of those questions, because there's a lot of things that we can take from the 80s and 90s. I will do some videos on that. And like I said, I grew up in that era. There's a lot of things we can take from that we could look back upon and think it's like when we was more carefree and we knew more about our health than we actually realised. See, for me, it's fascinating to see how like colours around us shapes our experiences, our emotions, whether you like the vibrant colors of the past or whether you like the calmer tones of now, today, and goodness knows what we're going to see in the future, because everything seems to be getting quite techy as well and futuristic. I wonder if we're going to see even less colors, and I feel like as well, it's like a lot of things become fashion trends, isn't it? And like home decor is becomes certain like trends, you know? Like look, when we never used to have like a corner sofa, for example, and now we all have corner sofas. And I think we don't all have corner sofas, but it's like widely available, and it's like when something is shown to you and you start to see it often, then it becomes the norm. So I'm wondering if like in years to come, people will see things like a grey corner sofa and be like, look at what you had in 2020s, you know. Like, listen, I just think there's no doubt that color plays a huge role in our lives, and I just like to talk about certain things and talk about topics, things that live rent free in my head when I just start to think. That I'm not going to be getting a pink sofa tomorrow. You're not going to see me wearing a pink and purple shell suit anytime soon. But I just love to look back on those pictures, and when I see people in those pink and purple shell suits, guys are even rocking nice colors. You try and get a guy in something purple like that today, and it's like the whole mindset has shifted, I feel. I don't know if it's in a good way. I just feel like people, and I just suppose life was easier. It was less heavy. There's a lot of things that kind of changed the game in the way we live today. But it's just something I wanted to talk, and I like to do little topical discussions. And what are your thoughts? Do you think that color, or do you think the 80s, 90s, the homes and the fashion was better? Or do you think today is better? Do we look back sometimes? I suppose sometimes we do laugh, but I do think color, like we need to bring back more color. So right now, even me, I'm decorating. It's quite neutral. I'm looking around. It's quite neutral, right? But I'm going to have more key elements of color. I'm bringing color back into my home, you know? I'm bringing color back into my home. I definitely want loads more plants as well in my home, but I want color. And I think it's important to get key pieces that is actually starting to re-inject some color into my life in my home. And I think when I go and buy some clothes, it might look a bit crazy, but I'm going to inject a bit more color into my life, you know. I love this topic. Do drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, have an amazing day.